What follows is some video of me screwing around in a parking lot on my 1999 KZ1000P. It's a former police motorcycle that I've restored. My daughter Margaret helped me out by operating the camera. This isn't intended to be a, hey, look at what I can do sort of thing, which will become more than evident once it starts. I did this so I could watch myself ride and start to look for bad habits and other faults in my motor handling skills that might need some work. There won't be any wheelies or stoppies or 200-mile-per-hour dashes across Europe. It's going to be pretty boring. What interests me is the kind of high-precision, close-quarters riding you find police doing on large bikes in busy urban traffic settings. Okay, here goes. I like to start just about every ride off by doing some weaves. It's a way to stretch my lower back out, and it emphasizes a skill called hinging, which is a great way to improve your swerving and some of your low-speed turning abilities. My daughter and I got to this parking lot with only about 10 or 15 minutes of light left, so this is just kind of a mad dash to get some stuff on video. You know, here I'm basically working on sort of dodging in and out of a gate between those horizontal lines. It's a lot like, if you're familiar with police drills, it's sort of like that very first little wiggle in a 180 D-cell. Did pretty well on most of those, except the last one. If I was trying to swerve around a car, I definitely would have hooked the bumper on it. Turns out swerving, including swerving through a narrow opening, and doing things like brake and evade drills, and just high-performance braking in general in a straight line are, to me, they're an important group of safety skills that you should drill on frequently, and I do. So basically just warming up here, getting the bike warmed up, running some eliminator patterns. Not very carefully. Could definitely be showing a little more discipline here, but I think I'm letting myself be distracted by the camera a little bit. Normally there's no camera when I'm practicing. Also, I normally don't get to see myself ride except in those plate glass windows behind me there, or my shadow on the ground if I'm working out at night in a parking lot. Looks like this is going to be a Starbucks U-turn here. Imagine a car on each side of those two spaces. You pull in, should be about a third of the way over that second space. That could have been a little tighter, but I'm not that disappointed.
Hi.
Hi.
Let me see how that looks.
Okay.
So I got a couple of patterns down. Got my jacket off so it's a little easier to move around on the bike. This first one is about a 14.5-foot wide pattern with a 4-foot wide lane in it. And the second one is something called a Cajun or a Crazy Cajun. I like this one because you're constantly changing direction in close quarters, and it's a neat little pattern. Brings a lot of stuff together.
I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention.
Ow. Kind of amazing how repeatedly a teenage daughter can put one into the 10 ring. Okay. Anyways, back to more of me stinking up this parking lot. If you're familiar with slow riding principles, you've probably picked up on the fact that I'm not using my head and eyes to get the bike around the turn. And the reason for that is that back around 1990, I ended up busting my neck playing ice hockey. And I only have about 15 degrees range of motion. But then again, I don't really think that's a big problem. I figured out how to get the bike around in close quarters fairly well. What I'm looking for here are some bad habits that I have some control over, like having my knee out like an outrigger there when I came around the turn, or my head down when I get into an inflection point like that where I'm having to go from one side to the other. Two more, the gut and the flexibility. 3, looking down at the cones when I go by. So far, I'd say I've got 3 or 4 things I could work on to improve my riding a little bit. One obvious one, just lose the weight, move around better on the bike. The second one would be to work on my flexibility in my lower back so I can hinge more easily, just kind of let the bike tilt farther, get better lean angles in. Probably the third one would be more disciplined in terms of how I approach the patterns and how I conduct myself once I'm in the patterns. I think this would include things like more precise wheel placement when I am entering a pattern I'm really familiar with, and making sure I'm getting the best benefit out of practicing that by practicing it properly. Keeping my head up, not looking down at the cones. Not letting the familiarity of the pattern work against me, and actually getting a training benefit out of being in there, building that muscle memory so that you do it the same every time. This is a neat little drill that a friend from out west just recently told me about. Just keeping your wheels right on the white line while you're going as slow as you possibly can builds up a lot of slow riding ability, a lot of discipline. Your clutch ends up hating you at the end of the day, but what the heck. This is another one that I like to do, the one cone drill. Just come up to it and then at the last minute decide whether you're going to go left or right. Now, my daughter Margaret was going to help me with this here, and she didn't quite pull it off there, but we get better as we go along here. So she brings her hand up, thumb up, and once I'm at a complete stop, she'll go either left or right, but she's got a habit of sort of like cocking it a little bit and then executing on it. So it's we weren't quite in sync at this point, but we got there. I definitely blew this one. I was anticipating where she was going to go. Just another practice stop here before I get back to the cone. So let's see how we do on this one. Come in, make my stop. She cocks a little bit. I bought to the left and came back to the right. That was good. There was no wrong answer on that one. I'm glad I did this video exercise because it validates for me that I was growing some bad habits by just riding the traffic markings on the ground instead of getting into the cones. Just riding the traffic markings makes it comfortable to become lazy at the boundaries of the pattern. Because the good thing about cones is that every time you screw up, you're going to have to dismount and fix the cone. So basically, that height of the cones helps contribute to your riding discipline. I think the other lesson that I take away from this is that there's a lot of value in doing the patterns. There's probably 30 or 40 patterns that I run typically when I'm doing that sort of thing, and I haven't been doing it again since the bike was restored in August. I haven't been doing it very much. So I've been working mostly on sort of like street strategy things, things that'll improve the odds that I stay out of an accident in a hairy urban traffic situation. But the vehicle handling skills that you get from the drills in the cones and the work that you do on the braking range improve the odds that you'll do the right thing once you get inside the event horizon of a traffic threat. So, hey, we got that one right. Nice job, Mark. So anyways, I think this is where it ends. So like I promised, pretty boring. I got a lot of stuff to work on. Maybe I'll have something better to show you if I work those problems hard enough and decide to make another one of these film travesties. So anyways, take care and ride safe.